Maritime Matters is brought to you live by Bahamas Maritime Connection.
What is maritime?
Maritime, simply put, relates to navigation or commerce on the high seas.
Some say money makes the world go round. I say ships move the money that make the world move.
Who navigates those large international ships?
How often are international ships required to be surveyed and inspected?
Maritime also protects our seas and borders by way of our local Bahamas Defense Force.
It is very sad to say that out of 1,500 plus ships that are registered under the Bahamian flag, only a very small amount of Bahamians are employed.
Maritime Matters.
And a pleasant good evening to you, our valued listening audience. Welcome one, welcome all, welcome to Maritime Matters. I am your host, Captain Glenn Bain. Our producer for tonight's show is none other than Mr. Sensational himself, Mr. Craig Gibson. We're coming to you live via Love 97 FM. This is Tuesday, the 18th day of February, 2025. And if it's a Tuesday, it's Maritime Matters. We encourage that if you're driving and tune in with us, please do so cautiously and ensure to take your time in getting wherever it is you are trying to get safely. As the saying goes, drive to arrive alive. Our sponsors for tonight's show are One-on-One Pharmacy and also Island Care Pharmacy. For all your medication needs, check out my little cousin Shantia, that's Shantia Heel McBride, and her lovely team at One-on-One Pharmacy in Nassau and Island Care Pharmacy in Freeport. Fill the prescription at the store or send your refills via the online site, oneononepharmacy.com. That would be One-on-One Pharmacy, all lowercase, all one word, .com. The three locations are East Street South. And, when you go in there, you got to tell Joy hello, a little fine pharmacist in the name Joy. She will give you and get you whatever you need for your problems. Joy is not easy. On Charles Sanders Highway. And, of course, when you go in there, my little cuz, Ancilla, we call her Seller. We call her simply Seller. Seller run things because she run the money. You know how that go. And then you got downtown Freeport. We ain't call this one-on-one pharmacy. You know what we call this one? Island Care Pharmacy. And you see my big cuz. I mean big because she's little solid. Steph. I mean big because she older than me. That's my cousin. Now the only three of them was older than me. Christina, Stephanie, and my brother Nimrod. I used to $4 grand out of Tom Hepburn clan. So I got a little clout here, right? But I get called Steph and Christina big sis because they're my elders. When you go in there, you just let Steph know. Your little cousin tell me come in here and you all got anything I need for medication. And he tell me when I come in here, let you all know, Maritime Matters send me. So you can take up that little something, right, Steph? Yeah, that's my good cousin, Steph. Boy, look, here we go, we get it to Roll Avenue, doing everything you're doing back in them days when you're growing up in places like Roll Avenue and Camp Road and Fox Hill and I wouldn't even put the bottoms down there because they came around later. Baintown, of course. We wasn't easy. So, we are secondly sponsored by Bahamas Maritime Connection Limited. At BMC, we provide a full slate of ISPS, Maritime, and we can talk about ISPS tonight. So we can know what this ISPS all about tonight. At least we can talk a little bit about it, right? The training part. And at BMC, we got a slew of security officers who are top-notch when it comes to port security. We got in our Nassau office, a couple of people there. We got Mario doing all the technical stuff. Kathy does all the accounts for the entire company. We got Dawn. She's the one who manages all the security operations and do all of what need to be done as far as security is concerned, right? And of course, in our Freeport office, we got Lydia Ferguson Henfield. Mrs. Henfield, she run things. She's the, what you call it, head sister in charge. We'll try to get me trouble on this. Anyway, that's BMC, Bahamas Maritime Connection. We do all maritime / port security jobs that you would need done. And I say, good night, Auntie May. My good old auntie up there in Freeport. Boy, Auntie May was trying to reach me today. I was so tired up, Auntie May, I can listen to a message after the show. But boy, I hope you tell me nothing to put on the show. But anyway, you know how this. Me and you can catch up. We always. But Auntie May is 91 years old, people, and gonna be 92 this year. 92 in about 2 or 3 months, as I recall it. 2 or 3 months, Auntie May will be 92. You know what I mean? Maybe next month. I think it's March, you know. Auntie May, I have to catch up. Last week I wasn't sure. This week I ain't sure. That ain't good. But Auntie May is going on 92, and she is such a strong woman. She break down my show like nobody's business. And I just want to say good night to her, and of course her lovely 4 daughters. You get Lauren, you get Margot, you get Bernice, that's my goddaughter, my god sister, and of course you get Yvonne. I used to forget Yvonne, but Yvonne, I ain't gonna forget you no more, baby. I got you covered. They had May daughters who keep her going, and they may have 2 sons. Both of them passed away, and guess what? It's so hurtful. Both of them passed away within 2 weeks apart of each other. Well, she had to bury 2 sons, one right after the next, and her only 2 sons. Anyway, that's my Auntie May, strong woman, and she lives on 90, 91 plus 92, then 93. And when she get over 100, she can start thinking about how long she won't be around with us, right? But I know Auntie May getting over 100. Right, Auntie May? Well, you know how we roll. Me, you always talking about that. It's laugh, but I laugh too, because we know you're strong, right? So, you're listening to Maritime Matters. And on this show, we talk maritime. Maritime Matters airs weekly at 17:05. That's 5:05 p.m. every Tuesday here on Love 97 FM. The purpose of our show is to highlight persons that made significant contributions to the maritime industry in the Bahamas and to sensitize Bahamians of opportunities in the maritime sectors. We also cover current maritime issues from the domestic and international maritime feeds. The phone number to reach us, should you wish to get in on the discussions during the show, is 328. Correction, 326. And you might want to write this down, right? 326-8255. The number again, if you want to reach us during the show, is 326-8255. To hear a replay of this show or any of our previous shows, simply hit us up at any time on our YouTube page. That's Maritime Matters Bahamas. 3 words, just like I love you, Maritime Matters Bahamas. There you go. So just go to the YouTube on your electronic device and type into the search box Maritime Matters Bahamas, and you will see a slew of shows that we had produced for you over the years, since over 2 years now. We're in our 3rd year. So you know that's plenty shows, right? Because you know we don't play. We not easy. So let's talk maritime. Hello. Tonight we present to you a collage of maritime training programs. Topics shall include the following. To talk about those procedures. So, based on that, we got an abstract from the newspapers or one of the dailies where I think it was a spokesperson for a local entity in the Exumas. And that local entity is Elizabeth Harbor Community Partnership, EHCP. Apparently this was a cooperation or company or partnership that was created many years ago, according to the papers from 2012. This entity installed over 64 eco-friendly moorings in Elizabeth Harbor. You know what Elizabeth Harbor is. I mean, all of us know the Family Island Regatta in picturesque Elizabeth Harbor. That's right in Georgetown Harbor, eh? With Stocking Island on one side on the mainland, Georgetown, the city, the big city on the next side, and in between there's Elizabeth Harbor, the most beautiful, picturesque place you would want to be in a harbor, right? So apparently what the EHCP, that's the Elizabeth Harbor Community Partnership, did was they installed over 64 buoys. Well, let's say moorings. Moorings is buoys, for those who don't know. And when you talk about moorings, you basically got a buoy on top of the water where the boat will go and grab the tail end of what's embedded or secured to the seabed and tie the ropes through that loop or eye or cleat or whatever they want, how they connect to it, so that their boat is safe, it's anchored, the anchor's not being used, but the mooring is being used as their anchor, so that they could go sleep and don't have to worry about their boat dragging anchor or going somewhere where it shouldn't be, because the boat is secured, right? That's what the moorings are all about. So apparently they put 64 of those moorings in there. We got to come back to that, because what I would want to know, and what you should want to know, dear listener, is what is 64 moorings that the EHCP installed in Elizabeth Harbor, done so according to our existing laws? And I dare say I don't think so. I could be wrong, but I do not think so. When we come back after our break, I can tell you why I say I do not think so. And again, 326-8255. Any one of you all think so, let me know. Any one of you all don't think so, let me know. Because why? Let's go on and discuss this stuff. And then, in addition to that, further down in Elizabeth Harbor, just to the south, adjoining Elizabeth Harbor, is this national park, right, called Maria Harbor Key National Park, which is really going down toward Little Exuma. In that area there, they have like a lagoon, a big lagoon where the water is for the most part shallow, but very, very picturesque, and they got sea life and everything in there, because it catches or attaches to Elizabeth Harbor, which on the other side attaches to the ocean. And this is a protected area in the Bahamas, just like the Land and Sea Park. It's the protected area where you're supposed to fish in there. The only activities you should do in there is very minimal, because it's like a harvesting area for marine life, right? And so we find that, according to the newspaper source, an additional 37 moorings was installed at Maria Harbor Key National Park. But those additional 37 moorings were not put there by the Elizabeth Harbor Community Partnership. They were put there by the Bahamas National Trust, who of course are the custodians of all the protected areas, land and sea in the Bahamas. And so, since it's a protected area, I guess they install those moorings in an eco-friendly manner, I would think, right? But again, what was the process that is designed by law, utilized to allow this to happen? Because I don't know. And if somebody out there know, please, 326-8255 is the number to call, and let us know if they went through due process, because I do not think so. And I got reason why I'm saying I do not think so, and I will come back with my reasons again after we come back from our first break, right? And subsequent to all of this, just, I think it was last month, well, this year, 2025, we're only in the third month, Bahamas Moorings, which is another company, they were granted over 3,500 acres of seabed lease You know, there's 3,500 acres, 3,645 acres. You know, there's 1 acre. 1 acre is like 4 times our regular lot, right? So there's 3,600 acres in the Exuma Keys. Apparently, the seabed lease was granted to this company called Bahamas Moorings. And then this ain't new. We linked this to that last week, and it's still up and proper and prominent in the news. So I can't ignore it, and I ain't trying to ignore it, because we got questions that should be answered, eh? So Bahamas Moorings were given over 3,500 acres of seabed lease. And in addition to that seabed lease, they wanted to put anchors all over the place. And apparently, based on information I seen in the papers again, the anchors that they're going to put there, or the anchors that they had put there already, are not installed in an eco-friendly manner. In other words, they're using actual anchors with hooks, sinking them into the seabed, and chain. So when tide go up and down, the chain will be dragging all over the seabed and messing up whatever there, right? And so this is not a very eco-friendly way of installing those moorings. And they had over 250 of them to install. Mind you, they didn't get authorization to install not even one. I don't know if they installed 10 or 2 or 1,000. I don't know how much they installed, but I know one thing. We need to know if phone call. Oh, let's take a pen. Let's just grab this phone call, because I come right back to this. Caller, you're on Maritime Matters. Hello.
Good afternoon, Captain Dan. I wanted to be the first one to call your show today.
Good afternoon, my dear. Oh, you are the first one, and I'm so happy that you called. I haven't heard from you in a while.
Because I have to beat up Captain Brain, because he's just taken over the whole show.
Okay, well, Captain Brain, I know if you could be calling tonight, so we give you full-fledged carte blanche, so let's go ahead with it.
Okay, so I just had 3 points, just to stay brief. All of a sudden, we shine a light on these moorings in the Exumas.
Yes.
But Staniel Key has moorings that are specific to Staniel Key. They collect the money from these moorings, and they use it as they will.
Staniel Key has moorings. Where are the moorings in Staniel Key? Because I used to go to Staniel Key.
I just sent you an excerpt from their website, if you look at your phone.
Staniel Key has a website?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So you just look at it on your phone, and then also I wanted to point out Montague.
Montague Beach?
I was there yesterday.
They have moorings? I know these have a lot of yachts anchoring off.
Yes, they're anchored.
Right, but they don't have moorings, eh?
Is Montague not a marine reserve? Is that not a park, considered a park?
No. Nothing in Nassau Harbor is considered a park.
So that's Montague.
Montague is not considered. Well, I mean, it's a beach area that for the public, but it's not considered a protected site.
Okay, so
no.
So in the absence of a designated anchorage, anybody can just pull up and drop an anchor, right?
Of course, and that's why we slack in that we don't have no anchorage zones, no anchorage areas in the whole country. This whole country should be no anchorage.
They have anchorages, but they're not.
No, I say no anchorage. We have designated anchorage areas, but we don't have no area that are designated other than not even in the land sea back. You could drop anchor. You could drop your hook. You could drop anchor anywhere in the Bahamas. Except, I don't know of anywhere in the Bahamas where they say the only place I remember where the books are where you can't anchor is, I don't know if you remember or you were aware, there was a cable running from Paradise Island to Nassau in the harbor, and they say there should be no anchorage in that area where that power cable was running.
Okay, so on Monday, the Casino Royale was anchored in that exact spot, and she was such a huge yacht that no boats, no large vessels could pass. She was actually anchored across the channel, so they had to maneuver either to the starboard port to get around the Casino Royale, who was there waiting for a tide to go into the marina. So she dropped her anchor right in the middle of the channel. Yeah. And then again, we have a lot of boats in there that's anchored smaller sailboats. But what I'm saying is, we paying a lot of attention to Exuma when these issues exist everywhere. We have walker skis and the arbacores. These people are just putting down these buoys. They're able to anchor a yacht. They go out, collect a fee. But the main environmental issue that I have is there's no pump vessel that's going around collecting the black water, the garbage, the sludge.
Well, where are they going to collect black water from?
So where are they going to dump their poop?
They dump it in the water. They ain't got no tank to hold it. So how could they collect it if they can't hold it? Them small yachts and stuff, they don't have no holding tanks. The mail boats don't have holding tanks. The first vessels don't have holding tanks. Only, I don't know about the new ones, but the ones that I used to be on the 65, when you flush, they go straight in the sea. So who can come collect anything?
But what I'm saying is the whole idea of having an eco-friendly mooring facility is to eliminate waste being put into the water, right?
Yeah, but there's no requirement by these vessels. Well, there may be a requirement by what comes on the solars, but there are no requirement for these non-solar vessels. They're not dumping
their weight, right? They're taking a small rubber boat into the island.
Yeah.
Are they taking the trash with them? What are they doing with the waste, with the trash?
Well, I'm sure most yachtmen. I've been around the world where a lot of yachties go.
What I'm saying is, when you establish a mooring facility, even if it's the one that was previous or the one that's coming, you need that needs to be a most important aspect or feature of any facility where you're harboring or gathering this many vessels in one location. So if each one of those vessels dumping their tanks in the water.
They don't have tanks. They don't have holding tanks for black water.
If you're saying that they don't have tanks, that means each one of them is dumping their stuff into the water.
From day one, I tell you, all the mail boats at Port Keys do it too. You don't know that?
Stay focused. We're talking about anchorage and moorings, right?
Yeah, but I'm saying to you, we talking about boats. You talking about the way boats are designed. You can't just assume they have holding tanks, because they don't.
No, I'm not assuming. I'm just saying that if you look at the models for these moorings in any other country in the U.S., this is a part of the offering, right? So this mooring facility is going to begin charging, according to their website, as of the 15th of January, they're supposed to establish a fee.
You talking about Bahamas moorings, or you talking about something else?
I'm talking about the previous one, the one that you say is a collaboration between BSD. The acronyms, I don't remember the name of the acronym.
Oh, you mean Elizabeth Harbor?
Yes.
Yeah, no, but the Elizabeth Harbor Community Partnership. Well, they have. You got to remember these yachts that are anchoring in Elizabeth Harbor. Most of them are sailboats, you know. I don't know if you ever been in Elizabeth Harbor around the Anchorage area. Most of them are sailboats, and these are private vessels. These are not commercial vessels. And even in our our private vessel, which is water skiing and motorboat control regulation in the Bahamas, these boats are not even required to be inspected. These boats are not required to really do anything if that's you and your family on your boat. So you ain't gonna have no holding tank.
But you still missing what I'm saying. Okay, let's eliminate the fact that they don't have a holding tank.
Yeah, so
they're now all concentrated in a particular area of the harbor, right?
Like Port
The concentration of black water is now multiplied, in my view.
Okay, but what about all these marinas? The same thing happening.
We talking about the point. You keep on going to mailboat and marinas.
Well, I can't go to that because marinas are waste and out in the open sea. When you're talking about black water and that type of thing. Okay. You can't ignore marinas having all of these vessels that are putting the stuff straight into the sea.
So the fact that these things exist, and they have existed for some time, you have these cruise ports that are not caring for the marine reserves. They've been granted 5 miles around their property to care for the marine reserves, which means that Bahamians can't fish or count within the 5-mile radius of their island.
So
right?
why would fishing?
Legislatively, we have not got to the point where we can regulate any of it. So people see an opportunity and they take it because the government is not moving forward with any legislative amendments to govern and protect. And we have all of these different agencies that have responsibility, but then when it pop off, we see, hey, Moorings came in and they were the ones that were protested against, but it already exists.
No, it didn't exist. What Moorings did is they, first of all, they got a seabed lease, right? You will find that the only entities in this country that were getting seabed leases were marinas. They got a seabed lease for almost the entire Land and Sea Park. That never happened before.
No, they made a legislation to give the fishermen, either in Long Island or Abaco, seabed leases that allows them to put down their condos and protect it as if it was their private property.
Yeah. That's because they were having condo wars.
Legislation that they created specific for people that put down their condos and want to protect their resources from being stolen or poached. So the government did give seabed leases for that, and they created legislation to govern it.
Yeah, that's under the Fisheries Act. This was to stop the war of people entering other people, because what it was is if you put a condo under the water, you had no rights to say nobody else could bother it. So the only way you could have rights is by leasing that seabed where your condo is going to land.
Right. So it does happen.
No, but I'm talking about moorings. If you're talking about leasing seabed, I'm saying to you, nobody have ever leased seabed to put moorings. This is the first time this ever happened.
The moorings, the arrangement with the new mooring company would have included.
No, it started with the seabed, because if they didn't get the seabed, then me or you could come and put a mooring right on the side of theirs, and they didn't want that. So they secured the seabed to make sure nobody else could compete with them. You need to understand why this happened.
What they did was they included Elizabeth Harbor.
No, that had nothing to do with but this Elizabeth Harbor was something totally different. Now you gotta remember before Bahamas moorings went into the Exumas.
No, the 4,000 acres of seabed included that.
No, it didn't.
Did you see the lease?
I see it. I ain't see nothing to say it did. It said the Exuma Keys. The Elizabeth Harbor is nowhere near the Exuma Keys.
Say what?
Elizabeth Harbor is nowhere near the Exuma Keys. You don't know that?
What I'm saying is the 4,000 acres that the new company had would have competed with the people who have their leases on Stocking Island.
No, that had nothing to do with Bahamas moorings. Bahamas moorings was strictly the Exuma Keys. Stocking Island is in Georgetown. That's a totally different part of Exuma. That's about 100 miles away.
Okay, so then why are these people complaining about the mooring then?
Oh, now you want that? I can tell you why they complain about the mooring. Who people complain about the mooring first of all?
The acronym.
Oh no, they're not really. They're complaining about the way they were installed. They were using anchors and chains instead of pegging it with a steel peg and using.
The location would not hold where they were putting them. Apparently, where they were putting them, where they have there could only hold 30 knots of wind. But where these guys was putting theirs, it couldn't hold the wind. So it wouldn't have made sense for them to put those. They weren't protected like Elizabeth Harbor is protected.
Well, in some of the areas they are protected by some of the keys in the Land and Sea Park. In some of the areas they were not protected. In most of the areas they would be protected. I went through the Land and Sea Park over and over again. You got a lot of keys and stuff that you could anchor behind, and people anchor behind them every day. Do you know that BNT has a whole slew of anchors already in the Land and Sea Park, even before Bahamas moorings came to put in theirs? This ain't nothing new, you know. They already have moorings there.
See,
now, did they put it in according to the law? I don't think so.
Yeah, but my final point is, if there's an opportunity organically, maritime is growing, advancing, and spreading. And if the Bahamian people don't wish to take advantage of opportunities, and these other people see opportunities and they decide to do it, then they will and they should.
They will, but they should do it in accordance with the law. That's my point.
The law is 40 and 50 years old.
I don't care. We'll change it if you have to change it, but don't violate the 40 and 50 years old law to do your own thing.
Well, it's being done anyway.
Yeah, that's why I got to be called out and be calling it out.
All right.
We on the same page.
It's better if the government gets something for it instead of taking money away from the small man on these islands and keys where, the Bahamas is littered with yachts docking. You don't know who is in. You don't know if they clear immigrations and customs. You don't know what they're doing.
That's why.
Right off of Montague and Nassau, 80+ yachts anchored.
I agree with you.
Why isn't that a problem?
That is a problem because we just a lousy bunch of people and our government ain't trying to fix nothing. That's why that's a problem.
I go on.
Okay, darling. That's a problem because we see the tons of vessels. Oh, that's my good friend calling me to give me a little heads up. And I always love when she called because she's beyond point with a lot of things. But sometimes, I may have a little bit too much experience to buy some of them, right? But she really does know her stuff. I can tell you that. Don't take her for granted because she ain't easy. But let me just say, by the way, you're listening to Maritime Matters, people. On this show, we talk maritime. I am your host, Captain Glenn Bain, and my able producer for the night is none other than Mr. Kishno Jones. He's keeping the things ticking and talking and putting the calls through and making sure everything goes smooth. That's my dog. So we're talking Maritime Matters, and my friend just called in to say that there are some concerns with these moorings. Our main topic is, of course, regularization and standardization of moorings throughout the Bahamas. And more specifically, this all stemmed from the Bahamas moorings being granted some 3,500 acres of seabed lease with 49 different mooring sites in the Exuma Keys. And they were totaling up to 250 moorings that were going to be installed once approval was granted, or that was intended to be installed. But approval was never, it was granted in principle to say you need to do some other things to install your moorings. They didn't do the other things and started to install moorings. So that's caused a big fuss, a big kick-up. And in that kick-up, we're now saying that let's do it. I am suggesting that if you can do it in accordance with the law. See, I happen to have been working in the port department for 5 years as deputy port controller. I happen to have been working with the Bahamas Maritime Authority as a ship inspector for 3 years, authorized nautical inspector or senior nautical inspector and all the rest of that stuff. So I happen to have some knowledge of what the law said we're supposed to do if we want to put down a mooring. What the law said we're supposed to do pertaining to vessels anchoring, or what it doesn't say. It doesn't tell vessels they cannot anchor except in 1 or 2 specific locations where cables are laid and that type of thing, where if a boat anchor hooks one of those cables, a lot of time they're high powered cables and you can have a big catastrophe as a result. So for that reason, we would put in there that please don't anchor these, and these areas are not well signed off. In other words, signage is not in place. My friend who just called indicated that a big yacht anchored in Nassau Harbor near the cable that run underground under the harbor between Paradise Island and Nassau. And I think she indicated that they even hooked the cable. But for sure, it was blocking off the harbor. But the bottom line is, we have enforcement in the harbor. We have the police patrol and we have Defense Force patrol. So why would they just allow vessels to create a menace in the harbor by turning broadside to all that traffic trying to get up and down the channel? They should not be allowed to come in harbor and drop their hook in a small harbor like this. That's going to be straight across the channel in my opinion. I don't know. This is what our caller just said happened. I didn't see it. I didn't hear about it until now. But that's definitely a no-no. And we have patrol boats up in our harbor all day. But you know what the problem is? There's a large, huge disconnect between the harbor patrol of the Royal Bahamas Defense Force and the port department. As far as regulations, what are you supposed to be out there looking for? Are they stopping boats and asking them to see their registration like the police do on the road with cars? No, they don't even know what the registration probably look like because of that disconnect, that they don't understand what they really out there or what they could enforce other than looking for drugs and illegal immigration or migrants. That's all they think they're there for. But no, you're out there to make sure the channels are not being impeded, to make sure vessels out there operating don't be doing speeds they shouldn't be doing. And well, of course, you need science to back that up. There's a long way we have to go with Nassau Harbor, and it's not going to get any less congested. We have cruise ships coming in, and I mean boats running right underneath these cruise ship bows. Right? I've seen it over and over again. Jet skis, you name it. Because there's no authority or no enforcement from those patrol boats' perspective. One time we go to Port Department, used to have their own boat, but not now. Is that another call, Mr. Producer? Oh, wow. Call you on Maritime Matters. Hello.
Good afternoon, Captain Brain. This is Captain Brain.
Captain Brain, how are you, sir?
I'm excellent and getting better, same as you.
I thought I was going to miss you tonight, man. I so happy you came around.
Indeed. I'm not going to... Now, Cap, you and I normally don't disagree on a lot of things.
That's right.
I'm not going to stand here. I'm not going to hear you say the Defense Force, Harbor Patrol Unit are not aware of their responsibilities and, in fact, do not do it. Now, I am out of that organization for many years.
Let's look at what I said, though. I said there's a disconnect between those patrol boats and the fellas who are on them and the requirements of the port department. That's what I said.
Well, you can remember now, the National Harbor Patrol, they do a myriad of different tasks, right?
Yes, but the one that...
There are priorities for them. There are priorities for them that may not line up every day with that of the port department.
But that don't mean they can pass a big yacht and could cross the channel and they can tell them they got to move.
I'm not sure if that is in fact the case.
Obviously a caller said that happened. You mean you ain't know, but it don't mean it didn't happen, eh?
Well, I served in the port department for about 7 years, and during that time we did have the cable. The cable actually runs from William Street. For those who are not aware of William Street, that's the corner there by where the movie theater on that connects Shirley Street to Bay Street, I think it's now a center where it used to be a center where they have production or events like that. You know what I'm talking about. What's the name of the movie theater that used to be on Shirley Street?
You have a movie theater that connected Shirley Street to Bay Street?
Shirley Street to Bay Street, yeah.
No, sir, not in this country.
It used to be a movie theater. Right now,
that wouldn't connect Shirley Street to Bay Street. That's
yeah. Right now, I'm not.
No, you're wrong.
Street Theater, the Shirley Street Theater, yes.
Shirley Street Theater do not go to Bay Street.
It does. It does. That road is called William Street.
Well, I don't know. That little corner by the Shirley Street Theater.
That's William.
But when you reach halfway through, they're going to Bay Street. Shirley Street finish, and then you have a community before you reach Bay Street.
Oh, come on! I'm telling you what the road is called.
But you. I understand what you're saying. I understand what you're saying.
Run in the harbor from William Street to Paradise Island. That's the point I'm trying to make.
No, but it can't be in that area. It can't be in that area because those big yachts, I don't think they could even get down. There ain't enough room in there for them to anchor.
Well, you answered. You said that is hearing my point. The cable that runs from Nassau to Paradise Island extends from William Street to Paradise Island,
no,
and that's why
William Street. It's not. It's not. William
100%
Street.
sure where the yacht is.
You know where. No, let me ask you. You know where Lands and Survey is?
Yeah.
Okay, that pink building, Lands and Survey.
Mm-hmm.
Right in the back there is where the cable came to Nassau from Paradise Island.
It's William Street.
That is not. Well, I don't know what the street name. That's the street where the pilot's office. Between the pilot's office and Lands and Survey. That's where that cable came. So you talking on the next side when you talk about where the Shirley Street there is, that's on the next side of the bridge.
Well,
you're wrong.
Is that corner where it's called, the name of the street is William Street?
Yeah, but that's not the one by the Shirley Street Theater. That's what I'm saying.
Well, I'm thinking,
no,
is that
Shirley Street Theater is east of Paradise Island Bridge?
The Chinese restaurant is on the corner there. Well, right there, that's where it goes across. Because I remember.
Let's not get too technical. Let's not get too technical where it reached now. So, but we know,
anyway,
according to the caller, the boat anchored right near to the cable, and it may or may not have made contact with the cable. But the thing is, my concern is not only that the boat was anchored near that cable and wasn't told not to anchor there, but the boat was blocking the channel and still wasn't told not, you can't be here because you interfering with the regular channel that all these boats using.
Well, my point really was to defend those officers and Marines who make up the Harbor Patrol Unit. I see them do it all the time. They address issues like that, where boats are anchored
issues
the harbor incorrectly, and so I have to defend them because I am a living witness.
You can defend them much as you like. They slack, and a lot of foolishness began on the harbor with speed. And I always get reports. Defending them do not mean they're doing their job properly.
I don't support that. I think
that's your business.
I think the biggest problem that we have with the Nassau Harbor is the fact that we just, the enforcement and the whole business of how we address these issues, or like speeding in the harbor, for example, from an enforcement standpoint, and the adjudication that should subsequently follow, and whatnot, it's just simply not in place.
Well, that's my whole point. But you got a whole fleet of patrol boats, eh?
Yeah, but the like I said, those patrol boats, they have a myriad of different issues that they address on a daily basis, inclusive of search and rescue.
I ain't listening to that thing with them rescuing no dog. That ain't important to me, right? My thing is, you got some real issues. You got some real issues out there that are not being addressed.
Now, I agree with you that there could be better coordination in prioritizing what those various job functions could look like, so that in order to support the efforts of the port department, who do not have the marine assets to be able to.
They replaced the port department. You know, the port department used to have a patrol boat when I was there, and while I was at the port, we brought in these vessels. We brought the defense force in the harbor. Harvey Sweeten and I want you to know, I know how to start it, you know.
Yeah,
you was not there when they started, so you don't know how to start it.
The port still have a boat, right?
But the job that they were doing was replaced by 2 patrol boats that were brought in under the port department. Do you know that the port department paid for the first 2?
Do you know?
Defense force didn't pay for them. We got the defense force to use them to patrol, and we used to have them in session to let them know what we want them to be looking for. And I could tell you which Commodore changed that.
But Cap, are you aware that the port department has a boat?
I'm telling you, we had a boat.
The port department have a boat.
No, I remember we had one, but I don't know if they bought one recently.
Now I am trying to educate you to the fact that they do.
And what's the purpose of this boat?
The purpose of the boat is to do all the things that you just alluded to that the port ought to be doing.
So they're duplicating what the patrol boats were bought in for then?
Yes, they are actually doing the same thing.
Because the port department don't have no officers with no enforcement authority.
Whether or not,
which officer the port department has that have enforcement authority?
Let me finish.
No, you can't finish. You need to answer that first.
Yeah, but let me finish the point. Whether or not they go on a daily basis, which I doubt, but they do have a vessel. It's a safe boat, the same ones that you'd see that the BDF utilize in Nassau Harbor.
The patrol boats?
Normally, that boat is normally moored at the Defense Force Harbor Patrol base, and I don't think that they have a rigorous program where they have daily objectives as relates to boat safety, as relates to speeding in Nassau Harbor, as relates to checking and ensuring different things. I don't think they have a robust daily regimen.
So what's the point on having this boat then?
Well, again, that's an issue that the Port Department and the coordination between the Port Department and the Defense Force could improve, because...
So you're supporting my point. You're supporting my point then?
I support the point about the coordination.
Yeah, but that's what my point was. That's what the point was.
About the Harbor Patrol unit not being effective in their role.
So you don't think the harbor is regulating itself with all of these violations being done all the time, all day, and we have enforcement entities or they ain't stopping it?
We have an entity responsible for Nassau Harbor, or several entities responsible for Nassau Harbor.
Yeah, but they ain't being stopped. So something has to be wrong.
Well, like I said, maybe the coordination, like you said.
Not maybe. We know the coordination is a problem, but
we have a port department that's responsible for Nassau Harbor.
No, they're not responsible for the patrols and enforcement, because that was turned over to the Defense Force.
The Defense Force conduct those, and I think they're very effective in what they do. It's just a matter of, we just need to...
I don't know what you call very effective. Even if you don't put very, if you only put effective, I think you're still wrong. They're not effective.
So we could agree to differ on that particular point. Mm-hmm. Now, I would like to highlight a different point. Well, let me just address the Moorings issue.
Yes.
Before I go to the point that I really want to raise.
Yes, please. And you thought you wasn't gonna build long, right? You know we gotta be a little while. Go ahead.
Well, the Moorings issue, in my opinion, I think the fact that we have a process, and we do, and that process was not followed. And for me, that's something major. But I don't believe. I personally believe that we have to, in looking at this whole issue of how, while we have this pause in that particular mooring arrangement, I think it's important for us to get the local communities involved and give them a stake in this whole thing. This is an opportunity for them.
That's the way the law is set up to be, but they ignored that and doing their own thing. That's my problem. It's just a bunch of foolishness going on.
Yeah, but the reality is they got people who are quite aware of how the process ought to be.
But I'm sure there must be some people who is aware of how it's supposed to be, but they ain't seem to be saying nothing.
No, but the thing is, you got to remember now. It goes back to my point. Bahamas is endemically corrupt from top to bottom.
I know I buy that, man, because I in the Bahamas and I ain't corrupt.
You may not buy it, but generally speaking, because how do you go from getting approval to in principle or whatever you call it, to not getting the port department's approval, not getting the approval of the science organization. I don't think they call it the best.
You could go rogue and ignore all of that, but
commission.
But when you go rogue and ignore all that, they should be able to catch you. When you go rogue and ignore the procedures, those entities who are supposed to give you approval, knowing that you're doing this thing, should be able to catch you and stop you.
Well, like I say, I'm not sure.
Just like if you put a car on the road with a license, the police should be able to catch you and give you a ticket.
Well, I don't know if they went rogue.
We know they went rogue based on what you're saying. We know they went rogue.
I'm not privy to what that...
No, but you just said it. You just said that they went ahead with approval in principle and didn't check with the port. That mean they go on rogue?
But Well, like I said, I'm not sure. I can't speak to them going rogue.
But you just spoke to them going rogue by saying that they didn't get the relevant approvals.
It sounded like I was on.
You sound like they're going rogue. You know that, and I know that. You scared to say that? Stop trying to sugarcoat this. They're going rogue. That's why I had to put a stop to them.
But let me just bring to the attention, and I'm not sure if you're aware. I'm sure that you're aware, but I'm not sure whether or not the general public is aware. There's a more, in my opinion, a more pressing issue on that currently exists in the Nassau Harbor area that is, quite frankly, very, very injurious and dangerous to the public, right? And I think that this issue needs to be addressed as a matter of urgency. And this issue really and truly, and if one would go on Potterski Dock on a daily basis, you'll see, particularly if you go to the western end of the dock in particular, what you will find is all the mail boats, particularly the ro-ro vessels, and these ro-ro vessels are taking carts on the open deck.
Carl, I see you on the line. I'll be with you as soon as my good friend Captain Brain. Okay, so we are on the western side where these ro-ros are.
Cars on those deck, on those ro-ros, that they have a tent set up where they take passengers that's also on that same deck. And then they're also taking bulk fuel like avgas, propane, and all on the same deck. Now, anyone who is familiar with safety and safety measures know that internationally and everywhere you go with in jurisdictions that where people have the slightest inkling for safety, knows that you don't put cars and passengers on the same deck, or propane gas in bulk or avgas in bulk on the same deck as cars and passengers, which is an extremely dangerous situation.
Yeah, but what laws you have against that? The bottom line is you do not have your local safety certificate for these vessels that will point that out by surveyors and make sure that ain't happening. See, the bottom line is we got the BMA farting around. We got situations where boats doing what they want to do because there's no regulations, the entities that's supposed to put these in place ain't doing it.
But the thing is, I just want the Bahamian public to be aware.
But I keep telling them,
extremely dangerous situation to be in.
You're right.
And I'm hoping that those regulators and persons who have responsibility for oversight, or daily operational oversight of these vessels, they would address it, because I think it's extremely important. And even if you're a passenger and now you know that, wait a minute, I'm here under this tent, all these cars on deck, and this big bulk fuel tank on deck. We just had the big propane disaster the other day, right? And now we're really going to wait until something really dangerous happens before we address it. So I throw that out there for the public to be made aware of, and I'm hopeful that people would take note and raise the alarm a little bit more so that we can address that.
But you're the one who's do these casualty investigation. Do you ever? I'm sure when you do your investigation, you make recommendations and whatnot.
Indeed.
But anybody listens to them?
Well, like I said, we have different entities, particularly the Port Department, that has carriage a lot of stuff.
No, the Port Department, they have nothing to do with this type of thing you're talking about. That's the BMA.
Well, safety, the BMA.
That's the BMA. That's your people who you work for.
The Bahamas.
That's your people who you work for. So let's call them out. It ain't nothing to do with no Port Department.
Everybody has a role to play in managing safety. So
but let's call out who have the authority by law to deal with it.
Anyway. We are, like I said,
call them out. The BMA. I want to hear you say BMA.
Is a combination of entities that has responsibility, and the Port Department is one of those entities.
No. Port Department have no jurisdiction to deal with safety on board non-soulless vessels. Absolutely none.
Right. So So the port department from because
Stop calling the port department. Call the people who work
the reason
for.
why the port department has responsibility is the port department is the
Anyway, hold the line a second. I can come right back to you. Let me get this caller. Caller, you on Maritime Matters. Hello. Well, I wouldn't hold that long myself. Okay, I think that caller left us. Caller, please feel free to call back. My apologies, but we talking about some serious stuff here. I'm sure you got a good contribution to make, so please call back, and I'll get right back on to you. Hello.
Yes. So the point, the way how the port department is involved. The port department is responsible for registering vessels that ply on domestic voyages, right? Inter-island trade. That's the responsibility of the port department, the registration. In that registration process, they register vessels to carry they designate either you carry X amount of passengers or you carry no passengers or all that falls under the remit of the port department.
That's not true.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
You'll never see that. You'll never see that in the Boat Registration Act.
Well, you may not see it in the Boat Registration
I can
Act.
tell you where you'll see it, though.
Even when it comes to local regattas, the port department, you would normally find an inspector from the port department actually counting, because the port department issue the numbers. Okay, when you apply for a permit to engage in regatta operation or taking folks to the local regatta, the port department issue you a letter indicating how many passengers you're permitted to carry, right? And even when you apply for a commercial license to operate domestically, it goes before the Port Authority Board, which is the chairman of the board, approves your application to engage to operate commercially, and then also similarly numbers are issued about the passengers you're permitted to carry. That's the port department. The BMA is not involved in that process at all.
So what you talking about when they're doing excursions and stuff?
Not only excursion, like I said, when you apply for a license to operate a commercial vessel in this country, it goes before the Port Authority's board, and during that process includes amount of passengers you're permitted to carry. That is approved by the board, by the Port Authority's board, and that's a part of your application process to be able to engage in any commercial maritime trade in the country. And
but
when you make the point that the port department is not involved, then I think that you're very, very wrong.
No, I say the port department is not responsible, because the port department is supposed to get those numbers from the survey that was done based on a local safety certificate that does not happen. That's where they're supposed to get them numbers from. They don't have the expertise to devise what these numbers supposed to be. You know that.
Well,
you know that, and I know that. And there are no surveys done to any of these vessels that the port department registers because the BMA don't do them. That's what the port department is supposed to utilize as their guidelines for safety on these vessels, and the amount of people they could carry, and the licenses of that. That's what they're supposed to use, and it ain't happening.
But when I was at the port, we began the process of issuing numbers based on
based on a survey that you did. You are no longer with the port. Name me one person in the port who could establish a safe amount of passengers for a vessel. Name me one. Name one.
I do not know.
No, you know there are none.
You know
there are none, and I know there are none.
I do not know.
You could do it. I could do it. And if they have a system where they have a local safety certificate, then the surveyor, who will be yourself, me, or somebody with the expertise, will make these determinations based on survey. But that ain't happening because the BMA ain't putting it in place. You can't pull that on me because I know better.
That's normally the way it's done.
That's the way it should be done, but the BMA is not doing their part. So the port department is just floating on what they think.
Well, I know that from time to time, expertise that isn't domiciled within the port department, they go to the BMA for assistance in that regard. Maybe again, that would be an area that could be considered.
No, they need to implement the local safety certificate so they don't have to worry about that. Everything
Well, I
is
agree with
right
that.
based on service.
And we've been calling for the local safety.
Well, I can stop calling for it either because the law, the book provide that it should be in place. And until they take it
Indeed.
off the books, I can push for it.
Indeed. Well,
And you need to help push for it because you know it's supposed to be in place. You don't want to call it the BMA. I don't care if you're waiting for them or they're waiting for you or something. How you do that. The bottom line is they need to get this thing right.
no. The thing is, I said I did not say that the BMA don't have any responsibility.
No, you're trying to put it on the port, but the port they have none because they cannot survey a vessel.
There's a combination of entities that has responsibility.
No. Once that local safety certificate come in place, no more combination. The BMA will manage the safety of non-soulless vessels in the country. So you wouldn't need no other entity to do that.
Well, I hope we have a lot of work to do, Cap. I hope we continue to push. I will certainly on my end continue to push. But we gonna. I'm happy that you do have this particular platform for us to highlight some of these issues, and hopefully, persons who can and who are inclined to make a difference could continue to utilize this platform to be listening as well, and they could hear some of the issues and they'll be prepared to address them. So thank you for the opportunity to call in.
Malik, you always welcome. I always enjoy when you call because you always share new lights, although sometimes it's get a little often. but thank you very much for calling and keeping in tune with Maritime Matters, my friend. You take care.
Indeed. Right. Thank you.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, you might have grasped from all of that I'm a little warm under the collar. I hot now. You know, me and my good friend, Captain Brain, we always going at it. We sit down and eat lunch together and laugh at each other sometimes. But, you know, this country, from a maritime perspective, got a long way to go. And we have everything in the box. The bottom line is these things just need to be implemented and most of our problems will go away. If we just implement one on the box, now we need to add some things, like everything else. But let's try and put in place what we know the book say we should have in place. But in particular, when you're dealing with safety on board vessels. Let's try to do that. You're listening to Maritime Matters. On this show, we talk maritime. I am your host, Captain Glenn Bain, and of course, I'm ably assisted by tonight's producer, Mr. Kishno Jones, who has his fingers on the pulse and got things ticking. We'll move to our first and only break for the night because boy, time rolling and we even reach our next two topics yet. And I haven't even finished these morning thing yet. Okay, come back and we'll finish that off as to what I think we need to be doing with it. Okay? So you're listening to Maritime Matters. Thank you so much as we run to our first break.
At One-on-One Pharmacy, our friendly staff is ready to serve you. Visit us today for all your prescription and over-the-counter needs at our East Street South or Charles Saunders Highway locations. We're open Monday through Saturday from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. and from 9 to 4 on Sundays. In a rush? Send your refill scripts online at oneononepharmacy.com or ask about our convenient pickup service. One-on-One Pharmacy, providing personal health care with people at heart. At Bahamas Maritime Connection Limited, we offer first-class maritime security services throughout the Bahamas and the wider Caribbean. As experts in maritime security, we specialize in production of ISPS assessments and plans, verification audits, certified familiarization training, and port security consultancy, just to name a few. Our services also include provision of a security force to maintain all required ISPS facility security compliance. For all your maritime security needs, visit us today in Nassau at our East Street South location or in Freeport in the Kipling building. Call us at 392-3515 or follow us on all social media platforms. Bahamas Maritime Connection, your leader in maritime security. Let's help you make the connection.
Sitting in the morning sun, everything still remains the same. I
Maritime Tech Matters. I am your host, Captain Glenn Bain, and we are discussing a litany of topics. We're coming to you live, University Drive, Love 97 FM, Jones Communication, and all the rest of that good stuff. But so far we've been talking about regularization and standardization for moorings in the Bahamas, and more particularly moorings in the Exumas. And we went a bit further than the Exuma Keys. We went all the way to Georgetown, to Elizabeth Harbor, and of course just to the south, annexing Elizabeth Harbor, would be the Maria Harbor Key National Park. And we said that they had moorings in the Land and Sea Park by Bahamas National Trust, and they also have moorings in the Maria Harbor Key National Park by Bahamas National Trust. And then we have over 60 moorings in Elizabeth Harbor by this company known as Elizabeth Harbor Community Partnerships. Now I don't know who this company comprises of, whether it's the regular native Bahamian or some more Conky Joe type Bahamian or some big money Bahamians or foreigners. I don't know. And I don't really need to know. But what I would like is that if we're going to have moorings anywhere in our country, the local Bahamian who live in that area or the community nearest to that area has the first opportunity to register that mooring and to make money off that mooring. Shouldn't go to Bahamas National Trust when the little fella living on Stanley Key or Black Point or Farmers Key struggling to make ends meet, and he can't even have an opportunity to invest in one or two of those moorings. It shouldn't go to the Elizabeth Harbor Community Partnership when the little fella who can hardly farm anymore, because farming is cost so much money because of the labor entity, can hardly make a dime off one more. And if you can put, see where am I going with this? Where I'm going with this is our government, and we know our governments over the years have been lousy, and the Bahamas only got one government. We have different administrations, but we only got one government in the Bahamas, and we have had lousy administrations over and over and over and repeatedly, particularly when it comes to maritime, because that's the area I know they've been lousy in, right? And we had one or two ministers who really was trying to make a difference in some aspects of maritime, and I can call one or two names, but I ain't to call the names because I ain't to know politics, right? We ain't need to get into all that. The bottom line is where we need to go now. Yes, because Bahamas moorings made a boo-boo, that spurred a lot of interest into the fact that monies could be made from the installation of buoys or moorings. Also, that money has always been made by the BNT, and now we find out by the EHCP, which is the Elizabeth Harbor Community Partnership. But what about the people? This thing was designed for people, just like how we register boats under the Port Authorities Act. We're supposed to register moorings under the Port Authorities Act. And how should it work? Let me tell you how it should work. You see, I lived this thing for a little while, so I know. And let me tell you what I know. The book say, the law of our country. It says there should be, and I'm not reading nothing. I tell you this out my head, right? So don't look for me to verbatim read what the book say. But I'll give you the gist of what the book say. And we're talking about the Port Authorities Act. There should be port authorities or a port authority for every inhabited island in this country, right? And we know what our inhabited islands are. Each one of them are zoned off, and for that zone, and it goes about 5 miles off the land, straight around that island. Grand Bahama has their zone. Abaco would have their zone. New Providence would have a zone. Berry Islands would have a zone. Bimini would have a zone. Bimini, the Bimini and Bimini chains. Andros would have a zone. Exuma would have a zone. I don't know if the Exuma mainland and Exuma Keys is the same zone, I think. But I could go back in the Port Authority subsidiary legislation, and we could have a show, and I could actually delineate for you based on that piece of legislation what these zones are. And it goes on to say every single zone should have a Port Authority board. Now what that telling us? That telling us that in Exuma Land Sea Park there should be a Port Authority board for the Exumas, the Exuma Harbor area that has hearings on any maritime activity, particularly when you're dealing with commercial, and well, really only when you're dealing with commercial activities, right? And it even goes to the detail of saying where buoys should be laid in this harbor area. So if Bahamas Moorings wanted to put 250 moorings in Exuma Keys, they were required to go to the Port Authority board for the Exumas and to make application for 250 moorings to be placed, say exactly where each one is going to be placed, and that authority which will comprise of locals in Exuma. That authority board, that Exuma Port Authority board will decide based on the situation being, should this entity be given the authority to place buoys for rent in our waters. And we got our people here who ain't get no money from buoys for rent. So in my opinion, based on what I know port authorities are supposed to be doing, they would not stand a chance to get the approval or the authority to place those moorings, probably not even one. Because like I say, we got people in Staniel Key who are quite capable of getting together, and the minister or the member of parliament responsible for Exuma should get in these various communities and galvanize the people and have meetings where somebody from the port department is explaining to them, or somebody, or really and truly they should have a port authority board for that area, saying, look, moorings could be placed all over the Exuma Keys, because we want to make this Exuma Keys a no anchorage zone for the whole Bahamas. I mean, for the whole Exuma Keys. As a matter of fact, I think our government should move to make the entire country a no anchorage, except for the case of emergencies. No anchorage country. And we could do it. We could say that, or we could designate areas where we allow anchorage. And then most of the charts would show you where you have good holding ground for anchorages, like off the beach, where there's a lot of sand, you know. And the best place for vessel to anchor is in sand, because when that anchor grips the sand, that ain't going nowhere. Now if you anchor it on a bar or rocky bar or something like that, the anchor fluke may not grip, so it will drag, as they call it. And that being the case, we would have designated anchorages around the country, and the local port authority board could designate anchorages in that harbor area, and then they could establish by way of doing a feasibility study or whatever, however they decide, because we got an MP got funds to get a feasibility done, and then he would offer the people from the various communities nearest to those areas. We have an area here that could hold 30 moorings for rent. We want to split it up. Each family could get up to 5 moorings, and you could make from those 5 moorings, when the season is busy, up to $100 a day. And in the case of a big ship user, $300-$400 a day. But you will be the custodian to make sure this mooring is always in place. When we do servicing of these moorings, if that is necessary, we will have a company come in and everybody will share the costs. When we installing these moorings, we will have companies soliciting to get a contract to do the installations, and we will share the costs. But once they are installed, we could even hire a company to do a daily patrol of the area to see what boats are using the anchorage and collect. And when our mooring is being used, the money comes to us. So what's wrong with that arrangement? Why the locals in these various communities? Oh, I got a call coming in. Oh, sorry. Calling on Maritime Matters. Hello.
Hey, buddy, what's happening?
Hey, General.
Listen, take your time. Don't expose me. I sent you a clip with at least 8 ships anchored in the reef. Just look at it. You see it.
I can't look at nothing while I'm on the show. What kind of thing this is?
Right, well, I just sent it to you. They anchored in the reef. They ain't even got no more. They anchored in. They anchored in our shoes. Big ships. Okay, just look at it.
Are they anchored in a designated no anchorage area?
Listen at me carefully. He's anchored in our reef.
You ain't listening to me though.
I wonder,
is that reef where they anchored?
There ain't no moorings out there for them tomorrow too.
No, but
is that in the reef?
Is that reef where they anchored considered a no anchorage area on the chart or no anchorage area in any of our laws?
Well, I don't know about the laws.
Yeah, but you need to know, because if they're breaking up the law, if they aren't breaking no law, how could we deal with it?
Okay, well, look at it and you tell me if they do it. They're still in the right place or not.
Yeah, I can't look at it.
I listen to the show. I like it.
You hear when your boy calling? Because you ain't been listening to the show.
No, I've been listening to you for a while when you went on your break and you just came back. I heard you a couple minutes before that.
So you missed all the action then?
Yes, sir, but then guess what? Let me let you know one thing. You know what I mean? As soon as go, you know what I mean, something is going adrift, because I heard someone estimate that these fellas for 20 years supposed to make close to $1 billion, whoever the company was that was dealing with these things.
Now let's put that $1 billion in perspective now. That was $1 billion over 21 years, not over 1 year.
I said for 20 years.
21, okay, 20, same thing, okay.
Okay, right. That's what I said. So, I mean, somebody got their foot in the gravy. I mean, everybody's supposed to have their foot in the gravy.
Yeah, but we have laws in place so that if the laws are followed the way they're supposed to be followed, we wouldn't have this problem.
Listen at me carefully. That's why I told you the last time I talked to you, there's enough natural resources in this country for everyone to be rich.
Where the natural resources?
You knock me down you come back with something and you can make all of it.
No, I ain't gonna let you get away just throwing a statement out there. Tell me what natural resources we have.
Our sea.
What sea? Who we can sell the sea to?
Okay, then our moorings.
Tell me what we can sell. What we can sell.
All kind of different other things.
No, tell me what. Don't let this call different. Tell me what the other things are. What could this country sell that is natural?
I can write it down and let you know.
Yeah, but don't say that and tell you to write it down, because it ain't nothing. We ain't got nothing.
All right, then. Okay, no problem. I can sit down. I can listen to you. Listen to the show.
Thank you very much, my friend. Let's keep it going. Okay, thanks. Natural resources we have to make everybody rich. What name one? We got oil. Even if we had oil, a little late for that, because now everybody getting the solar and electric cars. And President Trump said, drill, baby, drill. You think they could sell oil to anybody? Nobody want more oil in the next 5 years. I had a good discussion with one of my friends. I mean, excuse me. This is my good friend. Boy, be down in 5 minutes. So it ain't make no sense me trying to go into nothing else tonight. We got 2 more topics, so yes, we can do them next week. The Marsh Harbor upgrade, the dock, the port. Boy, that could be interesting. And we have an online portal from the Ministry of Transport saying that the Port Department is going to get an online portal responsible for all revenue collections. So these foreign yacht charter boats would have been getting away from paying that 14%. They can get captured now. All of y'all who got your little boats registered with the port, you ain't gotta go turn online and go see this and see that. You can just go online and pay. That's what this portal can do. One time ago, they had a portal, a CZ Pass, or whatever they consider it, a private venture with a portal collecting government revenue. And of course, I speak out against that, and I'll speak out against that anytime, because we got a whole port department responsible for collecting, and they have a private entity collecting. You see how slack we country are? Or should I say, you see how slack we country is? We just a group of slack, lousy. Anyway, we ain't bad like that. Boy, but we can do better. Right? So, I don't forget what I was talking about. Somebody need to call me and remind me. 326-8255 is the number to call if you want it on this last 2 minutes. Oh no, you can't even call no more. If you call, I might could answer. But boy, it could be tough because we only got 2 minutes left. And so, tonight we were talking about all those moorings all over the place. We didn't get to talk about the CZ Pass. We didn't get to talk, the DigiSoft technologies revenue collection that the Port Department is going to have coming on stream, I understand, in June. And I understand it's coming on pretty good, right? So we're looking forward to that. The government needs to start getting the money it's supposed to get, right? And of course, we ain't get to talk about the Marsh Harbor Port. But be that as it may, we was able to talk about my good old Annie Mae, who turns 92 next month. Next month. Tomorrow. Boy, I know. I a little warm under the collar right now. Tomorrow, the 12th of March, my good old Annie Mae turns 92. And happy birthday to you. That's the boring one. You got a birthday, we got none. We sing to you. Hey! Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Annie Mae. You got a birthday, we got none. We sing to you. Hey! So, that is how I'm going to send out my Annie Mae. I'm going to call her tomorrow. We can talk for the longest. I got to sneak my little hail on her soon because she up there in Freeport. And Annie Mae, I say to you, darling, enjoy your day tomorrow to the fullest. I'm sure those 4 lovely daughters you got there, just make sure you nice and spoil you right up. You know, Annie Mae lost her husband and she lost her 2 sons. And the 2 sons she lost all within 2 weeks. They were like 10 days apart. They died. So she went through a lot. And Uncle George, you know, Annie Mae married my good old Uncle George. Good man he was. He gone long before the boy. So the 3 men in the family died. They passed and gone. And the 5 ladies, including Annie Mae, are still left with us. So we got to celebrate her. She turns 92 tomorrow. Ladies and gentlemen, you've been listening to Maritime Matters. I thank you so much for keeping us in mind, tuning in to us, listening to us. I'd like to thank my callers. Very good callers, very knowledgeable people. We don't always agree on some things. Sometimes we really disagree and sometimes we really agree. But tonight, I think through our discussions, I wouldn't call it disagreement or agreement, through our discussions, I think we brought some light to some stuff and we made most of our callers more aware of really what we're talking about. And that's really what Maritime Matters is trying to do. I'd like to thank my producer for tonight, Mr. Kishnos Jones, the greatest. Yeah, I could call him the greatest on the show. Everybody knows he's the man, right? And also, I'd like to thank you, my dear listener, for keeping Maritime Matters alive, and my sponsors. I could forget Bahamas Maritime Connection and the 2 pharmacies, 101 Pharmacy and Island Care Pharmacy. And with that, I say to you, as always, Maritime Matters, tick, 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 tick. Out!
Sitting in the morning sun, I'll be sitting when the evening comes, watching the ships roll in, then I'll watch them roll away again. Yeah. I'm sitting on the dock of the bay, watching the tide roll away. Just sitting on the dock of the bay, wasting time. I left my home in Georgia.
One people, one music. Your